Today's video is about the aftermath of growing up in a narcissistic family. The aftermath of growing up in a narcissistic family has led you to experience trauma and pain from your parents' and siblings' behaviors and attitudes. Because of this trauma you experienced, you grew up changed, missing important parts of necessary parenting that prepare you for adulthood. For some of you, this may have led you to suffer from high levels of anxiety, depression, or rage, and don't know why you feel as you do. Also, your emotional, professional and financial life, most likely, have been impaired by the trauma imposed upon you. Listen to what I'm about to say, and listen good. You're innocent. Your life was changed dramatically by malignant forces in your family you had no control over, and now you are a malignant narcissism survivor of the trauma. Children of narcissists. People with narcissistic personality disorder open their children up to a world of damage and child abuse. Children of narcissistic parents must adhere to the agenda of the narcissistic parents for their lives to be stable. Asserting their feelings, their rights, or their thoughts can lead to much bigger problems. These children of narcissistic parents learn that their feelings are invalid, unimportant, and inconsequential. They often stifle all feelings to keep the peace in the house. A narcissistic family is one in which the relationships between the parents and children are strained and unnatural. This is usually because one of members, or more, has a serious problem that impacts every other member, and each member of the family feels constrained to adapt atypical roles within the group to allow the family as a whole to survive. Scapegoat. These children are usually the most sensitive and caring, which is why they feel such tremendous hurt. They are romantics who become very cynical and distrustful. They have a lot of self-hatred and can be very self-destructive. This often results in this child becoming the first person in the family to get into some kind of recovery. The scapegoat is the black sheep. Regardless what sweet words of denial the scapegoat hears from his parents' lips, he knows down inside that this household just isn't cutting it. He probably cannot articulate his loss, but his love tank is staying on empty. Obviously someone is to blame, and children, you will recall, are quick to assign any anomaly in the universe to their own fault. The scapegoat deserves to be punished for this mess. This is the child that the family feels ashamed of, and the most emotionally honest child in the family. He or she acts out the tension and anger the family ignores. This child provides distraction from the real issues in the family. The scapegoat usually has trouble in school because they get attention the only way they know how, which is negatively. They often become pregnant or addicted as teenagers. The scapegoat's poor performance in school, having had many relationships, or flaunting of the conventions of society, may lead him or her to be labeled the family's problem, drawing attention away from the dependence addiction. This behavior can also be seen as a cry for help. The hostile and irresponsible attitude of the scapegoat may lead him or her into accidents, or acts of violence against self. The attitude of defiance may lead him or her to do poorly in school, affecting future employment and the opportunity to earn an adequate income. People with narcissistic personality disorder would children open their children up to a world of damage and child abuse. When their children grow to become more independent, the narcissistic parent may feel jealous or envious of the child. A narcissistic survivor. Now what? Recovering from such a traumatic childhood is a daunting task. Having your own emotional needs unmet for so long may make the notion of recovery seemingly impossible. However, it's not. Here are some guidelines for recovery for adult children of narcissistic parents. Begin working through the grieving process. Allow yourself to grieve the parents you never had. Acknowledge that you never had a personality reference other than dysfunctional people. Work toward loving that little child inside you in the ways your narcissistic parent never did. Stop hoping that your narcissistic parent will change. He or she will not change. Remind yourself every day that you need to take care of yourself. Those needs for self-care are incredibly important. You do not need to harm yourself or hate yourself. You're a great person, worthy of love and devotion. Learn more about self-injury. Learn more about self-loathing. Stop being afraid of narcissists. You are an adult, you survived hell, and you need to reclaim your life as your own. Start by erasing that fear. Get rid of the feeling of not fitting in or belonging. It was put there by your narcissistic parent and it's got to go. You're probably still afraid of getting into trouble thanks to the way your narcissistic parent treated you. You're an adult now, and you don't answer to anyone but yourself. Release some of that anger. Smash some plates. Scream. Hit a pillow. Anything to let the anger of being an adult child of a narcissistic parent out. Learn to be autonomous. Start by making small decisions for yourself, and learn that you, yes you, are in charge of your own life. You are more than worthy. No matter what your narcissistic parent told you, you are more than worthy. Guilt. Oh, guilt. The best friend and worst enemy of an adult child of narcissistic parents. This may be the hardest of all the feelings to fight against, but you must. When the guilt is gnawing away at you, tell it to piss off. Remember that your needs are important. Be afraid to make them known and ask for what you need. Separating yourself from the sort of codependency that's common from narcissistic parents may seem daunting. Sure, they were emotionally, or physically, or both, abusive, but your narcissistic parent is still your parent. As an adult child of a narcissistic parent, you have two options. 1. Total estrangement, no contact, nothing, with your narcissistic parent. 2. Measured contact, but limited interaction with narcissistic parent. If you choose to keep measured contact with your narcissistic parent, be very sure to follow some strict, clear guidelines. Create very clear boundaries. Don't reward your parent for crossing them. Be clear, but firm. If they show up unannounced, explain nicely that you are too busy to visit with them. Shield your own children from their narcissistic grandparent. They do not need to be exposed to their toxic behaviors. Rather than explain that you do not want to hear their advice, echo and mirror whatever the narcissistic parent says. Do whatever you plan to do anyway. Provide information on a need-to-know basis only. Just because your narcissistic parent tells you everything doesn't mean you must reciprocate. Thank you for watching this video. As I say, knowledge is power. I wish you peace.